Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. This is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. A couple little things I want to talk about first before we jump to the main story, which is why a lot of times people will think marriage is a good deal and it's a great way to go and everybody's happy. But unfortunately, a lot of times it's just a mask that is put out for the outside world. First thing I want to touch on, let me get recording on this. A couple of you have mentioned in comment sections that I've seen that you're finding your comments are disappearing. One person said it was after 14 seconds or something like that. What YouTube does with comments, you leave a comment. If you don't see it appear right away, it means there was something in there and it pops over into either a held for review or a potentially spam. It can happen if you leave a link to another YouTube video or another article. But it also, if you type a word and you put a period at the end of the sentence and you don't put a space before the beginning of the next sentence, it'll treat that almost like a web address. So if you say a sentence ending in the word baseball, period, and is the next word. So you might say, and I enjoy baseball, period. And another thing, if you put baseball, period, and without a space in there, it thinks that's a link and it will hold it thinking that it is a link to another site. So you might not have put anything in there that might be questionable, but YouTube will still grab it. The ones I'm not seeing, and I saw this video, I'm going to show it to you guys, and I tested this out myself, and it does seem true on some words. Let me push play on this video while I talk. Make sure it's muted. So what this is this is somebody that went on a CNN post, and they put in Chinese writing in here, but it seems that after they post it and they just keep refreshing the page, the post is there and it's visible, but I think it was between 14 and 18 seconds. It just disappears off the page. We'll see it here in just a second. And let's see, 18 seconds. There you go. And it says error while loading, tap to retry. So it just was auto-deleted. So I tested this on my channel with a couple of things. If you, I won't say any of the words, but N-word and some other ones that are pretty bad words. They don't show up in my filters to even approve. They're just gone. And I don't have a listing of what these words are, so I don't know what it is. I can't help you on that. But if things are disappearing, it is not me removing them. I do not. In all my videos ever, I think I've removed less than 10 comments, and that was when I made the video a few days ago about direct threats to another human being. I remove those. If you're going to threaten somebody with physical harm, I have to, because otherwise YouTube sees that on a channel and bad things happen. So other than that, I'm not removing anything if you don't see it. But when I go through later on, I only sit in front of my computer, for 1 or 2 times a day, and then I go through and clear out the filters. So if you don't see it, I remove it from the filter. If you still don't see it, it's not on me. It's got nothing. Secondly, there's a guy posted this, and he said, I found a YouTube channel of this guy whose dad walked out on him when he was 12. Now a dad of 2 adult kids himself. He made a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I? ? Where he makes maintenance videos for people with no dads. So if you guys are young gentlemen and you want to know how to do something, whether it's unclogging a toilet or fixing a drain on a sink, or you've got a leaking faucet or whatever, check out Dad, How Do I? It's a really cool site, and I'm glad somebody posted this. All right, on to the main story. A lot of times young men here, and I get emails with this of, hey man, how do I get a good girlfriend? What's a good way to meet women? What's a good way to date? Where should I go to get married? I can tell you none of these things. Me telling you guys how to date would be the same as a cat burglar that is really good at burgling things but gets caught every single time and thrown in jail. That would be like asking him what's the best way to be a cat burglar. I have yet to have a successful relationship for an extended period of time. I can tell you all the things that go wrong. I can tell you all the things that other people say go wrong, but as far as what goes right, I got nothing. So I'm the wrong person to ask for that. There may be some other sites that can help you with that, just not me. I can tell you how to be a good man, a strong man, and stay on your course, and you may get women attracted to you, but how as far as keeping them and having a successful relationship, That's not me. That's why I am a bachelor, and I am a better bachelor for it. But that being said, this is a story about a guy that on the exterior, everything looked great, and it seemed like his life was happy to everyone except him. And so I wanted to read this story. I'll leave a link for this below. He says, I'm not going back to my cage after the bug is lifted. He says, please excuse the long and ranting post brought to you by Freedom and Rum. I'm a 49-year-old guy here with a 46-year-old wife, married 15 years, 2 kids, 16 male and 13 male. Yeah, you guessed it. Surprise pregnancy with our oldest equals marriage. That's a tough place to be. At 16 years, that means he was 33 and she was 30. Was it a surprise or was it really an accident? Hard to say, but nonetheless, he tied the knot. He says, to outsiders, we have the perfect life and marriage with a nice house, the usual 3 cars, 2 dogs, too much stuff, and my wife's 10 million Instagram posts of our, quote, happy family. I've got lots of friends that fall into this where, now I've left social media, but before I left social media a few years ago, like on Facebook and stuff, I would see girls posting like pictures, oh, great day at the beach, but I secretly knew they were really bummed out. Same thing with guys, same thing in relationships. I had guy friends that the marriage online looked perfect, the vacations looked perfect, but he was telling me, he's like, man, I'm miserable. Things went so bad, but people want to put their best foot forward. It's the same thing in dating apps. No one ever takes a picture and go, that's what I really look like, but let me get a different angle. That's why women are, a lot of women do those blurring, like to try to make them look younger so you don't see the wrinkles on their face and they look kind of creepy, like they look like dolls, because no one wants to put what they really look like. Obviously, I have no problems with that because you get what you see. It's not like I use any editing filters, although I do have some very nice soft lighting. I've moved my lighting a little bit because my batteries are disconnected from my overhead lights. Okay, continuing. Inside the cage, it's nothing but misery. There's no kindness, no love, no affection, no intimacy. There's only expectations I never live up to, demands, things I need to do and then redo because I never get it right. I'm in therapy for being super bummed out. Our youngest is in therapy for the same thing. Only family members know this. My wife insisted we take our therapy to the larger town an hour away so nobody would find out. Both therapists have tried to get me and the wife involved, or try to get the wife involved in helping us with treatment of the issues. She has always refused. Everything is her way or the highway. I'm told if I leave or ever cheat, she'll make sure she takes everything in court, plus make sure to keep me away from my children. I hear this a few times a week whenever I haven't done exactly what she wants, and it's done to her perfectionist standards. I've talked about this before, and it's one of the things where this is a real concern, and it's many times why guys will stay in a relationship where they're getting physical and verbal harm because they feel that if they walk away, they will lose everything. Their wife will say bad things about them to the family, make up lies to their friends, maybe even call the police, even though he hasn't done anything wrong, takes the children away, threatens to take everything away as far as a divorce. And so a lot of times that can be enough that a guy says, I will lose everything, but I don't want to lose my family, I don't want to lose my kids, I don't want to lose my job, I don't want to lose my friends, so I have to hang in here. Now, the thing that I've said this in many videos before, and I'll say it again, no one marries this person. They become this person. No one says, wow, she's crazy, I'm going to marry her. No, they turn into this over time. And that is the real challenge, is that at this point, you're legally binded to, and as well as children, you're bound to this person in many, many ways. And that's why I say to be a happy bachelor is no cohabitation, no long-term, no marriage, no kids. Now, that may not be for you, but again, I can't tell you which way to go. I know I don't have any of those things, and I'm much happier without any of them. And I'm not tied to anybody no matter what, because this can happen. Does it always happen? Of course not. Many of the people in my family have been married 50 years. My parents, 50 years, grandparents for 50 years, aunt, uncle, 50 years. Many of them have long-term relationships. But when they don't, this is one of the things that can happen. I'm not even called by my name at home. It's always you or your father. Usually you need to do this for me, or your father is being stupid again. It's been like this since about a year after our youngest was born. There was a gradual lessening of intimacy, then affection, and then even basic respect to where I've become nothing more than an accessory for fancy pictures while in public and a pathetic dumb A mental case in private and treated with disdain and anger constantly. This is part of what I say when we see this in commercials, we see this in movies. Men are the fools. Look at Homer Simpson. Yes, The Simpsons are a cartoon. They've been around a long time. And I like The Simpsons. I like Family Guy. I like a lot of these comedies. But the guys are always portrayed as idiots. And it's kind of a norm. So, yeah, I can see where guys would be treated like this. And socially, it's kind of acceptable. I tried to get my wife couple counseling early in the decline, but there's nothing wrong with her. I'm the problem. That's what he was told. It got worse after I was officially diagnosed with very deep sadness. I can't say that word. Thanks, YouTube. She's been using that as a weapon against me, even trying to discuss small things that I'm unhappy with at home lends to a big fight and divorce threats every single time. Even mentioning that I'm having a bad day and I need a break or some help just starts a fight or a mean lecture about I need to be working on myself. For the past 7 or 8 years, now he's been married here, let me go back up, 15 years. And he says for the last 7 or 8 years. So basically half the time he's been married. But it was after, there's a reason why they call it the 7-year itch. It's because at 7 years, that's either when divorces most happen or things go bad. For the past 7, 8 years, I've just been in a fog going through the marriage going sour, then getting the deep sadness diagnosed, the adjustment to different medications, trying not to get the deep sadness affect my family, and the absolute soul-crushing hell of being married to someone who thinks I'm stupid and despises me. Plus work, raising the kids, house chores, getting dragged to whatever new thing my wife decided we need to do just so she can post pictures of her perfect family times. I've basically been living in a nightmare. Until the bug. My wife insisted I leave the family home for the sake of the family because I've still needed to go into work once or twice a week, and the kids both had childhood asthma and might be in danger. I wholeheartedly agreed to this. Better safe than sorry. My wife insisted I pay for a hotel and stay there, but when her sister and husband found out I was living in a hotel, they invited me to stay with them up in the larger town until this problem is all over. That started a mess of a text and phone fight with my wife. Of course, since it wasn't her idea, she keeps our family pretty distant from her sister because supposedly she's a, quote, bad influence. Then I was the bad guy for even answering the message my sis-in-law sent about staying over with a polite no thank you, and I was making my wife look bad to say no. So I ended up getting told by my wife to go stay with them, but I'm still paying for it in a more angry messages and calls than usual. I've never understood now why the in-laws are a bad influence. When they visit us for the big holidays and the kids' birthdays, they're always nice, fun, good people to be around. What I'm realizing the longer I'm around them day in, day out is that the bad influence is the way they treat each other with respect and caring. It's influencing me to realize there's something else out there than the drudgery, dread, fear, and misery, something worth losing my home for and even my children for. I'm just so darn tired of it all, and I won't do it anymore. So here's a good example of a guy describing his absolute worst nightmare when it comes to a marriage, yet his brother and sister-in-law are incredibly happy, and they're very happy. So it is proof that it can work for some people. I just don't know how. I'm sitting here, fourth drink of the night in hand, watching two people who care about each other make dinner together, talk about their day, just be happy around each other. It's shoving in my face just how much I'm getting mistreated at home. It's making me see that despite my issues, I don't deserve being mistreated so badly. And I've decided I'm not going back to my cage after this. There's no way my wife will ever change or the situation at home will ever change. I've been looking up legal separations, lawyers to hire, apartments to rent. I've scheduled a virtual appointment with my therapist for tomorrow to get some guidance there too. I have a list of people to start calling tomorrow to start off this divorce. I just want out. I'm going to get myself out. Thanks for listening. So, many of you, when I've said the boiling frog, and a lot of you will say, no, the frog will jump out and it doesn't work like that. But it's still an old analogy that if you slowly warm the water up to a boil, the frog will not jump out versus throwing a frog in the hot water and it jumps out. Whether that's true or not, it's an analogy. And that's my point, is that, and this goes back to the video I just did last night about the young woman that was chasing the bad boy, is things just get a little worse. And a little worse, and a little worse, and a little worse. But you've got kids, and she may blame it on well, I'm pregnant and my hormones, and then afterwards it's, well, I just had a kid, and then it's the kids are crying and they're stressing me out and they're not sleeping all night, and little Johnny is sick and he's throwing up, and then it's, I got to get him ready for kindergarten, and his first year of school's hard, and we've got to find a new nanny, we've got to take him to soccer practice, and the problems and the excuses just continue to go on and until all of a sudden you look back and you say, I've been unhappy for a decade. I was married. I was married for, let's see, we were together a total of 8 years, I think it was. The first 2 or 3, amazing. The last 5, awful. They were awful because we were like roommates, except I didn't do the dishes right. I didn't do the laundry right. As a matter of fact, I got so tired of getting complained to about how I didn't do the laundry right. I purposefully took all my work t-shirts, the shirts that I wore underneath my button-up with a nice tie. I wore color dress shirts, not white ones. So if I had a colored t-shirt like this underneath it, it didn't matter. I took all my whites, put them in a wash, and I took a red handkerchief and some red shirts and I think an old pair of wool red socks, and I put them in my whites on purpose, and I ran it on hot because I knew it would make all my whites pink. And I left them in the wash, and I asked the wife, hey, can you check on the laundry? And she said, sure. And she said, oh my gosh, what did you do? And I said, holy cow, I didn't realize. Oh, that happens. And I played all stupid. And she said, that's it. You're not doing my laundry again. Problem solved. The other thing I did after a while when I got really fed up is I'd accidentally drop dishes all the time when I was doing the dishwasher. And I say, well, I have to wipe them off a little bit, and they got a little bit soapy, and I don't know, I'm just a klutz. She said, stay away from the dishes. Now dishes were done. So I just did lawn work, took care of the vehicles, that kind of thing, and vacuumed. But my point being, though, is that, after a while, you just start getting to the point where you go, this isn't any fun anymore. And that's the problem with marriage, is you're basically signing a contract that says richer or poorer. Well, not really. Richer, it's ours. Poorer, I'm going to leave you and you're still going to give me money in many cases. Not all, but many. And you're signing a legal binding that says this is going to work out or I'm going to take the brunt of the pain. That is not a good deal. That is not a good agreement. And in many places, cohabitation can be as short as 1 year, other places 2, other places 7. I don't know if there's any in between. But if you live with somebody and they're on the lease and or are paying anything towards rent, that can be treated as a marriage where you have to split certain things. So how do we avoid this? By not cohabitating, by not marrying. And if you want to get into long-term, hey, you do you, but keep it at separate residences. Because once she's there and she decides she wants to redecorate or change something, or your space is no longer your space, your life is no longer your life, you're now kowtowing to her. It's also been shown that relationships last longer and are healthier when people live apart. Now, whether that means that allows the other person to do things they shouldn't be doing, and so they'll stay in the relationship longer versus you being together and they can't easily cheat or step out on you, I don't know. But it supposedly keeps the mystery and the excitement for the guy alive in the woman longer. I can't speak to this, but so guys, I thought I would leave it there. That on the exterior you see all your friends and all these happy people married, but the truth is they may not be that happy, and maybe it's time to take a step back and look at all their alternatives as to how you can still have a relationship if that's what you really want and make it work. Otherwise, there's many ways you can have friends and pets and family and other things that will fulfill your life in much the same way. You may be missing the physical closeness of a partner, but last I heard, you can even rent that. Who'd have thought? Guys, if you'd like to support my work, links are below. As always, if you have directly, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And the best way you can support me, like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll leave it there. This is Better Bachelor. I am Joker. And remember, sometimes things look really shiny and great on the outside, but on the inside, it's poisoned and sick, and you don't want to ever be the person that's trapped by that.